Asterisk asterisk. There was a mother who had only known sacrifices all her life, and there was a son who always considered her a burden. Until one day, the mother collapsed right in front of her son. And that night, the deceased father returned in a dream to start a chain of karma that made the son pay the price. Asterisk asterisk. Mrs. Luwu lived in a small house at the end of the village. Since her husband died, she only had one son, Hao. But Hao grew up and became hot-tempered, valuing money more than family. Every meal, Mrs. Luwu just hoped her son would come home to eat with her, but Hao always coldly left. "I'm busy working, don't bother me anymore." At night, she trembled as she looked at the dark house inside. "I just hope he understands my heart." That afternoon, the sky was gloomy, as if foreshadowing something bad. In the small house, Mrs. Lu bent over to light the fire. Her thin hands trembled from the cold wind, but her eyes lit up with a fragile hope. "I wonder if Hao will come home for dinner today." She placed on the table a bowl of mixed vegetable soup and a few paper-thin slices of meat. That was the best part. She had fasted for several days to save for her son. The doors slammed open. Hao walked in, his face red, the smell of alcohol strong. Mrs. Lu quickly stood up. "You're home? Mom cooked soup for you. Eat while it's hot." Hao glanced at the dining table, then shouted, "All those poor people. How can you have the energy to work with that?" His voice was mixed with frustration because he had just lost money gambling. Mrs. Lu said softly, "Our family is poor. Mom is trying her best. Tomorrow Mom will go to the market to find some work." Hao banged the table. "If Mom goes to the market to do those stupid things, I will be ashamed in front of the whole village. Mom, stay at home, don't pretend to help." The atmosphere was heavy. Mrs. Lu gently pulled out a chair, sat down, and hid her trembling hands in her dress. "Mom just wanted to help me a little. You're too tired. Hao growled, "Don't pretend to love me. If you love me, give me money." Mrs. Lu's eyes widened. "Money. I have some money saved for when I get sick. Do you need a lot?" Hao snatched the cloth bag from her hand and rummaged through it like a thief. In the bag were only a few small bills and a few old coins. Hao threw the bag on the ground. "You call this money? You have lived your whole life and have never helped me." As if someone had poured cold water on her heart, Mrs. Lu was silent, her eyes red. A moment later, she only said a sentence as light as a breeze. "My child, I have nothing left." The mother ate cold rice in the dark. Hao left, slamming the door. Darkness filled the house, leaving only the flickering oil lamp. Mrs. Lu sat alone, looking at the cold rice bowl. She put food in her son's bowl that had been there since the afternoon, and it was still intact. She picked up her chopsticks, then put them down. "I wonder if he has eaten anything yet." Just thinking about it made her burst into tears, crying silently as if she was afraid someone would hear. The neighbors passed by the window and saw her busy cleaning the table, whispering, "Oh my, Mrs. Luhu has suffered all her life because of her unfilial son." The children nowadays only care about money, forgetting their filial duties. But Mrs. Luhu only smiled sadly when she heard, "Don't blame him. He's still young, he'll change." That night, Hao went to the bar. Drunk, he lamented, "I am poor because of fate. My old mother is always following me. I have to take care of her food. How can I have a better life?" A friend sneered, "Why does the old woman live to make you suffer? Just kick her out." That sentence was like a knife piercing my heart, but Hao did not object, just silently continued drinking. It was not yet dawn. The yard was covered in dew. Mrs. Lu woke up early, her hands trembling as she rubbed her old shirt. Hao lay on the bed, the smell of alcohol still strong. She looked at her son and sighed. "I wonder if he will go to work today. Or will he follow a group of bad people?" She gently moved the house to one side and started to light the stove to cook breakfast for her son. The sound of bowls and chopsticks hitting each other made Hao open his eyes. He held his head and mumbled, "Oh my God, it hurts." Just as he stepped out the door, he saw his mother busily cooking porridge. "What are you doing so early, Mom? You're making so much noise." Mrs. Lu smiled gently. "I made porridge for you. You drank a lot yesterday." Hao brushed it off. "No need, let me sleep." A moment later, there was a loud knock on the door. "Knock! Knock! Knock!" Mrs. Lu was startled. Hao frowned. "Who is it?" A group of 3 strangers stood outside, their eyes cold. The bald man said, "We came to collect the debt." Hao was confused, "But I still have a deadline." The other guy hit the pillar hard. "What deadline? You've been late 3 times. If you don't pay, the house will be seized." Mrs. Lu turned pale. "You guys, this family is very poor. Please give him more time." The bald guy snorted. "Shut up. If you don't have money, move out." Hao turned purple, but didn't dare to protest. Mrs. Lu stood in front of her son, as if using her body to protect him. "You guys, please don't make things difficult for him. If necessary, I will try to find money. Just please keep this house." The words got stuck in her throat. When the debt collectors left, Hao turned to his mother as if to vent all his anger. "See? Because of you, I am humiliated like this. The family has always been poor." Mrs. Lu panicked. I'm sorry, but the debt is your fault." Hao roared. "Because you are old and can't do anything. If you could earn money, they wouldn't dare come to collect it." That sentence was like a knife cutting into her heart. That night, Hao rummaged through the cupboard to get the red book. Mrs. Lu saw it and quickly ran over to hold her son's hand. "Hao, no way. This is the house your father left behind. If we lose it, how will we live?" Hao pushed her hand away. "I need the money. I'll hold it for now and then redeem it." "Don't stop me, Mom." Mrs. Lu knelt down on the ground, hugging her son's legs. "I beg you, don't let the house fall into the hands of strangers." But Hao kicked her, causing her to fall to the ground. She lay there, not making a sound, just looking at her son with pained eyes. Hao walked out the door, never turning back. The sound of the door slamming shut made Mrs. Lu's heart clench. She tried to sit up, but her legs were too weak. Her eyes were filled with tears, watching her son's figure disappear into the mist. "How? How could you?" she whispered, her sobs choking her. In the afternoon, the villagers saw her sitting absent-mindedly in front of the yard. Everyone shook their heads. "Oh my God. Hao really pawned the land certificate." The mother lived such a gentle life but met an unfilial son. An old woman came forward to console her. "Mrs. Lu, why don't you move to my house to stay temporarily?" Mrs. Lu just smiled sadly. "No. I have to wait for him to come back." While speaking, she looked at the gate where her son had left. Night fell, the fog was thick. Mrs. Lu sat by the oil lamp, her eyes red from crying. On the table was her child's bowl of porridge, cold since the afternoon. She gently placed her hand on the bowl. "As long as you come back, I am willing to forgive everything." Outside, the wind howled in gusts as if signaling the dark days were coming. These past few days, Hao has been out of contact. No one knows where he is or what he is doing. Inside the house, the wind blows through the crevices in the rotten walls. Mrs. Lu sits in front of the door, her eyes looking out at the red dirt road full of gravel. I wonder if he has eaten or drank anything at this time, or is he following bad friends? The worry makes her forget to eat. The next morning, the sky was gray. The clouds were so heavy that they seemed to be about to fall to the ground. She decided to go up the mountain to collect firewood, she thought. Pick up some firewood, Sell it for a few coins. Maybe I can help him a little." Although her legs were weak and her back was bent, she still struggled to take each step. The sound of the wind whistling through the bamboo trunks made the mountain forest strangely desolate. In the middle of the path, Hao suddenly appeared. His shirt was crumpled, his hair was matted with sweat. He looked tired and exhausted. Mrs. Lu was so happy that she choked up. "Hao, you haven't been here for a few days. I was so worried." Hao glanced at the bundle of firewood on his mother's back. His face darkened. "What are you doing, Mom? Do you want the whole village to think I'm unfilial?" She was confused and tried to explain. "I just want to help you. I'm old, I can't do much," shouted loudly. "Help what? Seeing you in such rags, I just want to disappear. Go home, don't embarrass me." She stepped back, frightened by her son's shout. Her foot stepped on a slippery root. "How? Speak softly, Mom. Before she could finish, she slid down the slope, her hands flailing in the air. "How? You you saved me." Hao stood still. His eyes widened, but he didn't move forward. The sound of collision rang out. Dry leaves flew up, rocks rolled down. Hao trembled as he walked to the edge of the slope and looked down. Mrs. Louis lay motionless, no longer moving. Hao stepped back, his hands trembling. "She's dead. If people knew, I left her alone." In panic, he did not go down to save his mother. He turned and ran, running as if his mother was just a mindless shadow. At the foot of the slope, Mrs. Lu opened her eyes. A sharp pain ran through her body. She tried to look up. "How? My child, don't leave me." Her weak voice blended with the wind, no one could hear. She tried to move, but her hands were full of blood, and her legs had no feeling. "My child." Tears rolled down her dusty face. Around noon, Mr. Tu, a villager, passed by and heard a weak moan. "Oh my God, Mrs. Lu." He quickly ran down to pick her up. The whole village ran over in panic. "Who pushed you? Why are you lying down here? Did you see how?" Mrs. Lu whispered. "It was me. Who slipped. No. It wasn't him. Don't blame him." She still defended her son, even though he was the reason she fell. That afternoon, the villagers quickly spread the news. But Hao hid in his rented room, his heart pounding. He heard his friend say, "Your mother fell and broke her leg. She seems to be in a coma." Hao just kept silent. His hands clenched, but his mouth still said a cruel sentence. "Let her wake up and then we'll see. I'm very busy right now." In the cold house, Mrs. Lu lay unconscious on the wooden bed. Her breathing gradually weakened. Her eyes opened slightly, looking towards the door as if waiting for a familiar figure. But outside, Hao did not return. The oil lamp flickered, the light wavering like the mother's soul trembling in the midst of tragedy. The house was already cold, and now it was even colder. There was no fire in the kitchen. The rice pot was still there from the morning. A woman put her hand on her forehead. "She has a fever. She must be in a lot of pain. We have to call Hao back." But we couldn't call him back. They looked at each other, and they all sighed. "Well, I hope he has some compassion to come back." Evening fell. The weather was cold. The wind whistling through the crack in the door sounded like a silent cry. Mrs. Lu lay unconscious. The pain from the fall made her whole body ache. In a half-awake, half-asleep dream, she moved her lips slightly, her voice as thin as a broken thread. "How. Where are you. Don't leave me." Tears rolled down the corners of her wrinkled eyes. Uncle Tu, the neighbor sitting next to her, listened with a choked voice. "Oh my God, even at this point, you still think about her." At that time, Hao was at the bar with some bad friends. The lights were dim, the laughter was loud. He frowned when he received a text message from his neighbor. "Your mother is unconscious, come back now." Hal glanced over, then threw the phone on the table. Those people always exaggerate. She's old, a little pain is normal. A friend laughed coldly. Mom is sick, let her be. Don't worry, drink. No one noticed Hal's eyes twitching slightly, a little like fear, but he tried to ignore it. In the small house, the oil lamp suddenly went out. The cold wind blew in, making Mrs. Lu shiver all over. She tried to open her eyes, looking towards the door. It seemed like she saw her son standing there. She smiled weakly. Hal, you're home. But it was just an illusion. In the darkness, she held out her hand as if pleading, Don't leave me. Her hand wavered, then fell down with a weak sigh. The whole neighborhood then took care of her together. Some boiled water, some got medicine. That Hal doesn't know how to think about his mother. Seeing her like this and not coming home. Everyone was heartbroken, but no one blamed her directly because they knew Mrs. Lu didn't want to hear that. A neighbor girl held a towel to wipe her, softly saying, Auntie, I hope your son will come back to you soon. She didn't answer, just sighed softly, her eyes closed. At the bar, a group of people suddenly rushed in. How? Are you hiding? How much do you owe us? Hal panicked and stood up. Wait for me some more time. But they didn't let him be. One of them grabbed his shirt and punched him straight in the face. Talk too much. Don't blame him if he doesn't have money. Hal was knocked to the floor, his mouth bleeding. Only one thought flashed through his mind. Fuck. But then that thought was swallowed by fear and pain. Back at the house, Mrs. Lu was still unconscious. Her breathing was so weak that she had to lean closer to hear it. My son, don't go anymore. Her voice was like the wind. Outside, thunder and lightning were rumbling. The rain was pattering on the leaky roof, wetting part of the bed. A neighbor covered her with a cloak, sobbing. If anything happened to her. How pitiful. At midnight, Hal staggered back to the alley. His face was bruised. His shirt was torn. He stopped in front of the house. The flickering light inside made him hesitate. He heard the villagers whispering, She is very weak. I just hope to see Hal come back. Hal looked through the crack in the door. He saw his mother lying there, her silver hair disheveled, her body emaciated. His eyes turned red. He wanted to go in, wanted to call Mom. But cowardice and ego made him turn away. Let's think about it tomorrow. Hal walked away, leaving behind the cold, whistling wind. In the dark house, Mrs. Lu suddenly opened her eyes, looking towards the closed door. She whispered, her voice broken. How? Are you back yet? No one answered. The mother shed tears, then fell into a coma again, a coma that foreshadowed deeper tragedies that lay ahead. That night, the house, already cold, became even gloomier. The wind rattled against the windows, like a lament coming from somewhere. Min lay on the bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Since kicking his mother out of the house, his heart had not had a moment of peace. In the middle of the night, Min heard a knock sound right at the door. He jumped up, his heart pounding. A thin figure with messy hair stood outside the window, looking in and trembling. Min panicked. Who is it? No one answered. The strong wind blew, making the curtain flutter like someone's hand was shaking it and calling. Min felt scared. For the first time in his life, he understood what it was like to be chased by his own guilt. He consoled himself. It must be my imagination. But deep down, he knew it wasn't an illusion, because the knocking sound was exactly like the sound of his mother knocking on the door, asking to come in when he kicked her out the day before. Min trembled, sweat dripping down his forehead. Finally, Min fell asleep in exhaustion and anxiety. In his dream, he saw his mother sitting on the porch, the rain drenching her thin shirt. She shivered. Min, open the door for Mom. It's cold. But in the dream, he also coldly turned away, just like in real life. Then suddenly, a hand was placed on Min's shoulder. He turned back. It was his father, who had passed away many years ago. His face became serious, his eyes filled with disappointment. You have changed, Min. You are doing what your parents feared most in their lives, being unfilial. Min's voice trembled. You didn't mean it. His father shook his head. Not intending it is also a sign. Remember, in life, karma goes around, and will return to the person who caused it. Then he turned away, his figure fading into the mist. Before disappearing, he left only one sentence, like a thunderclap tearing the sky. If you continue to be unfilial, you will destroy your own life. Min woke up, his heart pounding as if it were about to explode. It was not yet dawn. The space was dead silent. Min sat on the bed, breathing heavily. The dream was so real, so clear. Suddenly, from afar, the neighbors' voices rang out. Oh my God, it seems like someone fell down at the end of the alley. Another person shouted, it seems like Min's mother. Min stood up abruptly. His face paled. His legs trembled as if he had no strength left. In his mind appeared the words of his father in the dream. Karma comes quickly, son. Min rushed out of the house, but his heart at this moment was not only filled with worry, but also with fear of what he himself had sown. Min stood up abruptly. His face paled. His legs trembled as if he had no strength left. In his mind appeared the words of his father in the dream. Karma comes quickly, son. Min rushed out of the house, but his heart at this moment was not only filled with worry, but also with fear of what he himself had sown. When he arrived, Min saw a familiar figure lying curled up on the ground, shivering slightly from the cold. His mother. Her shirt was torn at the shoulders, her skinny hands clutching the ground, her eyes half closed, her breathing weak. She slipped and fell while trying to find shelter last night. A neighbor sighed. Poor thing. She must have been leaning against the electric pole all night and must have been too cold and fainted. Another person glanced at Min, his eyes reproachful. What kind of son of a bitch let his mother end up like this? Min stood there dumbfounded. His legs couldn't move. His lips trembled. His hands hung limply as if he had lost all strength. For the first time in his life, Min felt the blow of shame so strong that it made him want to kneel down. Min rushed over and helped his mother up. His voice choked. Mom, how are you? Mom, open your eyes. Her eyelids slowly trembled. She saw Min. The corners of her lips moved, then she let out a weak sentence. Min, don't avoid me anymore. Just one sentence. But it was like a knife piercing straight into Min's heart. She didn't blame. She wasn't angry. Even though she was chased out in the rain, left out in the cold night, she was just afraid that her child would avoid her. Min bit his lip until it bled. In his head, his father's words from the dream echoed. You are ruining your own life. Min and his neighbors helped her into a nearby house for first aid. An old neighbor brought a bowl of warm water. She fainted from exhaustion and cold. Luckily, she was not seriously injured. But as soon as she regained consciousness, Min's mother grabbed his hand, her voice trembling. Mom, I just wanted to see you from afar. I was afraid of disturbing you, so I didn't dare knock on the door. Min was stunned. The world around him seemed to collapse. He remembered last night, a small, light, trembling knock on the door. It wasn't an illusion. It wasn't a ghost. It was his mother, standing outside the door, shivering, longing to see her son. Min felt his head buzzing. He slapped himself in the face, his face red. I'm an unfilial son, a bad son. But Mom still shook her head, trying to smile, even though her lips were pale. No, my child is never bad. Mom. Just want you to be safe." At this point, Min couldn't take it anymore. He hugged his mother, bursting into tears. Mom suddenly held Min's hand tighter. Her eyes lost a bit of light. Then she whispered, "Min, these past few days, I haven't been able to sleep. I saw your dad come back," he said. "You were going the wrong way." Min's heart stopped beating. "Mom, you also dreamed about Dad?" She nodded, her voice choked. "He told me to find you. Otherwise, you will get into trouble." Min was stunned. What his father said to him in his dream was exactly what his mother had just said. He felt like he was being warned by life clearly and could not be denied. Min helped his mother back to his house. No longer caring about gossip, no longer afraid of anyone's judgmental eyes. As soon as he entered the door, Min said with a trembling voice, "Mom, from today, you don't have to go anywhere anymore. This house is yours. I was wrong. So wrong." Mom looked at him, tears streaming down her face. "Min, come back to me. That's enough." Min collapsed at his mother's feet, head bowed low. "I will make up for everything. Just hope you forgive me." But the cause and effect didn't stop there. The mistake Min made was about to lead to more serious problems. After Min brought his mother home, he thought that everything would stop there. But life isn't that simple. What Min did before was like a stone thrown into the water. The waves kept rolling, never stopping immediately. That day, when Min went to the market to buy some things for his mother, the whole market seemed to be staring at him. There, that Min, I heard he chased his mother out of the house on a rainy day. What a cruel person, can't even see a human being. That mother is as gentle as the earth, suffering from young to old. Min bowed his head, both hands tightly gripping the shopping bag. The feeling of humiliation made his face hot. But the most painful thing was not what people said. But for the first time in his life, he understood the price of being unfilial. An old vegetable seller looked straight at Min and said firmly, "If children let their mothers stand outside in the cold, God will not spare them in the future, my child." Min stiffened. That sentence was like a curse. When he got closer to home, Min met Uncle Ho, a longtime neighbor who was close to his father before he passed away. "Min, stop!" Min turned around and greeted him softly. Uncle Ho looked at him for a long time, his eyes sad. "I heard that your mother fainted on the street these past few days. Is that right?" Min was silent, his eyes red. He sighed. "When your father was alive, he loved you very much. But there was one thing he told me. If after I die, Min is rude to his mother, you must slap him to wake him up." Min was stunned. Uncle Ho patted Min's shoulder. "I won't slap you, but life will slap you. And life's slap hurts much more." Each word was like a needle stabbing into Min's heart. He continued, "If you make your mother sad, heaven and earth will know. Don't think too much about it. You should be careful. The trouble hasn't come yet." Min was startled. "What trouble are you talking about?" Uncle Ho looked into the distance. "If you can forgive me, my mother will forgive me. But heaven will find it hard to forgive me." That sentence made Min feel like there was something cold watching him from behind. That night, Min cooked porridge for his mother. Mother ate very little, her hands were shaking slightly. Min worried. "Are you tired, Mom? Should I take you to the doctor?" Mom quickly shook her head. No need, I'm fine." But Min realized. Mom's hands were colder than usual, her face was pale, her breathing was irregular. He was even more worried. "What are you hiding from me, Mom?" Mom smiled slightly, a tired smile. "Min, I'm just afraid you'll worry. I live every day." "Thanks to you." Min choked. "Thanks to you?" "You make me suffer more." Mom shook her head, placing her hand on Min's hand. "You're back, I'm happy enough. As for other things, as long as I can bear it, I can bear it." The last sentence made Min feel his heart sink with anxiety. That night, after his mother had gone to sleep, Min sat alone on the porch. The wind blew, carrying the sound of insects and the sound of the corrugated iron roof. Min thought. Then suddenly, bam! The knock on the door was so loud that Min jumped. He opened the door. No one was seen. He only saw a fine on the ground from the authorities, clearly stating, "Property destruction. Fine of 8 million VND. Min was stunned. He realized. That was what he had done a few months ago when he got angry. Kicked the door of his old rented room and broke the glass of someone else's house. The landlord didn't inform him at the time. But now they've filed a complaint. Min sat down. Where's the money coming from? Mom just got home, so many things to worry about. He's unemployed after being fired for his bad temper. Now he suddenly has to pay a fine. Right at this time. Min remembered Uncle Ho's words. Life is so painful. And his father's words in his dream. Karma comes back very quickly, son. Min suddenly understood. This is just the beginning. The 8 million VND fine lay on the tiled floor, like a sharp knife cutting straight into Min's heart. He tried to stay calm, but his hands were shaking. Cold sweat was pouring out. 8 million VND. A large sum of money given his current situation. Min sighed. But he thought, well, try to work again. You will be able to pay it back. Little did he know that ... Life had not stopped here. The next morning, Min opened the door and saw a postman waiting. Is this you, Min? I have another document for you. Min felt his legs go weak. Again? He took it with trembling hands. Inside was a notice to go to the police station because of a previous fight. The story of him arguing and pushing a young man at a coffee shop because of a small provocation. At that time, it seemed calm, but unexpectedly, the other person filed a complaint. Min choked up. Oh my God. Why are so many things happening at once? The postman just sighed. You reap what you sow, brother. Min felt like he had been slapped in the face. When Min returned home, his mother was sitting at the table, holding a cup of hot tea. She looked at him, her eyes calm but sharper than usual. Min, what's the matter, son? Min quickly hid the paper behind his back. No, it's nothing, Mom. Mom still looked deeply into his eyes. You can't hide it from me. I heard the postman calling your name. Min paused. Mom was always observant. It was just that Min never wanted her to worry. Finally, Min sighed. Yes, I had a little trouble. Mom asked softly, did you fight again? Min bowed his head. Silence was the answer. Mom exhaled and said softly, your father was very kind in the past, but he said, if a person does not know how to control his anger, it will burn his own life. Min bit his lip. We'll fix it, Mom, I promise. She placed her hand on Min's hand lightly, but Min felt an invisible worry from her. I just hope you will fear the evil within you. That afternoon, Min went to 3 places to apply for a job. Everywhere, people shook their heads. One store even said bluntly, we heard you had a fight with a customer and were fired from your old store. We didn't dare to hire you. Min was stunned. The rumor spread like wildfire. He walked out of the store with trembling legs, his heart aching as if someone had crushed it. He began to realize his hot temper and disrespect had single-handedly pushed his life into a dead end. Late at night, Min returned home. The house was dark. Mom was asleep. Min was about to go into his room when a rustle. A piece of paper slid under the door. Min bent down to pick it up. Not a letter, not a fine, but a debt reminder from a friend who had lent Min money before. 20 million due today. The friend added a short line. If you don't pay on time, I'll have to make a big deal out of it. Sorry. Min stood there dumbfounded. His chest tightened. 8 million fine. $20 million old debt, an invitation to the police station, unable to find a job. Everything came crashing down like a storm. Min sat down on the floor, holding his head. At that moment, the phone rang. The screen showed the name of the old landlady, the person who used to be tolerant of Min but was rude and scolded by Min when he moved out. Min answered the phone with a trembling voice. Yes, I'm listening. The landlady's voice was harsh. Min, please come back here. Your old wardrobe is broken. Water is leaking downstairs and burning the wires. Min's heart almost dropped to the ground. Yes, yes, let me handle it. The landlady added, her voice cold as steel. If it's not resolved within 24 hours, I'll call the police. You're responsible for it. Don't blame anyone. Min was devastated. Life seemed to be spinning Min into a giant mill, crushing him bit by bit. Min sat there in a daze. The night wind blew through the window, cold. The sky was gray, as if heavy with an ominous omen. Min remembered the scene of his mother collapsing in the rain. The scene of him closing the door, leaving her outside. The scene of his father warning him in his dream, and he understood. Every evil deed he had ever done, big or small, was coming back to claim his debt one by one. No one was spared, not a single day was missed. Min whispered in the darkness, I was wrong. Please, give me a chance to make it right. But the darkness was silent. And tomorrow, there would be more storms. Min tossed and turned all night without sleep. The debt papers, fines, threats, kept swirling in his head like 100 needles piercing at once. But what scared Min the most? It wasn't the money. It was the feeling that life was punishing him in a calculated, terrifyingly clear way. The next morning, Min walked to the dining table with a pale face. Mom was setting the table, looked at him for a long time and asked, Can't sleep, Min? Min nodded slightly. Mom looked deeply into her son's eyes. Your eyes are exactly like your father's in the past, when he owed someone but tried to hide it from me. Min was confused. I am fine. Mom didn't say anything, but her hands trembled slightly. She could clearly feel Min was hiding a heavy burden, so heavy that it made him turn into a different person overnight. Min quickly changed clothes to run to the old place to settle the matter of last night. When Min stepped out of the gate, his mother stood inside the house watching him, and she suddenly stopped. Behind Min, very clearly, was a tall, thin man following him closely, but Min did not know. His mother hugged her chest, her eyes wide with fear. Dad? She mumbled, her legs trembling. The shadow flashed for a second, then disappeared. Mom sat down on the chair, breathing heavily. She understood. This was no hallucination. Min went to the old room. The landlady was standing there with her hands on her hips, her face cold as ice. You're here. Come here and look. Min walked into the room. The old cabinet he had kicked so hard when he was angry had rotted. Water was leaking into the room below, causing an electrical short. Here's the bill for the electrical repair and compensation. $5 million. Min felt like he had been hit by another blow. Uncle, please give me time. No, the landlady growled. Back then you yelled at me, saying I was old and senile. I endured. Now I have to pay the price. Every word burned like fire in my heart. Min did not dare to argue. The landlady continued. If you don't pay in full tomorrow, I will call the police. Min returned home feeling as if a 1,000-pound rock was pressing down on his heart. That afternoon, Min went out to look for another job. While crossing the street, half asleep from exhaustion, a loud screech rang out. Min was startled. A speeding motorbike almost hit him, only half a step away. Min stood there frozen. The person on the bike turned around and cursed. How are you walking? Do you want to die? Min was sweating. He stood still for a long time. just now. He almost died." The words his father had said in his dream immediately came back to him. "You will get into trouble." Min ran straight home, but when he opened the door, "Mom! Mom?" There was no one in the living room. He didn't see Mom in the kitchen, no answer. Min ran into his mother's room in a panic. The door was ajar. In the dim light, Min saw his mother sitting on the bed, her arms around her chest, breathing heavily, her face pale. "Mom, what's wrong with you?" Mom tried to smile weakly. "Mom, I'm fine, just a little tired." Min was so scared that he knelt down beside the bed. "Mom, I'm sorry, I'm so wrong. Don't scare me like that." Mom looked at Min with eyes that were both loving and worried. "Min, you have to stop. What you're doing is dragging you down the cliff." Her voice faltered. "Tomorrow I will take you to the temple. I am afraid if I don't save you in time, your father won't be able to save you." Min was shocked. "Did you really see your father?" Mom nodded, tears falling onto Min's hands. "He followed you because he was afraid you would die." Min choked. His whole body was cold. For the first time in his life, Min clearly felt death standing right behind him. Her voice faltered. "Tomorrow I will take you to the temple. I am afraid if I don't save you in time, your father won't be able to save you." Min was shocked. "Did you really see your father?" Mom nodded, tears falling onto Min's hands. "He followed you because he was afraid you would die." Min choked. His whole body was cold. For the first time in his life, Min clearly felt death standing right behind him. "Mom, save me." Mom hugged Min's head, her voice trembling. "Mom is always here. As long as you know how to turn back, heaven will open the way." After a night of heavy rain, the damp, dilapidated house made Mrs. Lon, the poor mother, fall ill. The cough persisted, her breathing became weaker, her voice became hoarse, as if all her strength had been drained. Having worked hard all her life to raise her children, now she only had one very small wish. If Hao just asked me a question, I would feel warm. But Hao, the son who was used to being selfish and greedy for money, did not care. Her cough echoed through the yard. Cough ... cough ... cough ... Hao was sitting drinking coffee, not even bothering to turn around, just frowning in annoyance. "What are you coughing at that makes so much noise?" "Go rest, I'm still busy." "Busy?" Actually, he was just busy looking at his phone and surfing the internet. Mrs. Lan tried to say, "Mom, a little dizzy. See if there's any cough medicine left." But Hao waved his hand. "I'm not free. Go to the pharmacy to buy some. I'm an adult." The old lady was weak. She couldn't even stand. How could she walk by herself? The neighbor Mrs. Hai ran over and saw Mrs. Lan lying curled up, her lips trembling. "Oh my God, you're so sick. Why didn't Hao take you to the hospital?" Mrs. Lan quickly shook her head. "He still has a lot to worry about ... That's all she said, but her eyes were filled with tears. She was afraid that if she said more, people would blame her son. The fear was even greater than the illness. That afternoon, Hao discovered that the money in the room was moldy, and some of it had been eaten by rats. He was angry and ran out and yelled at his mother. "It was you who left the door open and let the rats in. You can't even guard the house." Mrs. Lan trembled. "I'm sorry. I'm too weak ... Hao didn't listen, only thinking about his money. His disrespect grew bigger and bigger, and his mother's heart ached more and more. The chest pain came. She gasped for breath, had to lean against the wall. "Hao, Hao, I can't breathe." But in the room, Hao was wearing headphones, playing games, and didn't hear it all. When Mrs. Lan collapsed on the floor, a small noise rang out. Hao opened the door and looked out. "What's wrong with Mom again? You're making a noise in the whole house." She tried to speak through her ragged breaths. "I take you To the hospital. Howe frowned, hesitating because he was afraid of wasting money. Let Mom rest. It won't be so bad that she has to go to the hospital. He turned his back and slammed the door shut. In the darkness, Mrs. Lan lay curled up, her hands lightly holding onto the wall, tears rolling down. No one saw, but in the corner of the house, the portrait of her late husband, Howe's father, suddenly tilted, as if someone had touched it. A cold wind swept through the room. That night was just the beginning of the karma that was coming very soon. That night, the wind whistled through the old roof. The moonless sky made the space so dark that it seemed to swallow all the light. Mrs. Lan lay curled up on the floor, her breathing so weak that every inhalation was painful. Howe was in a deep sleep, not knowing if his mother would wake up tomorrow morning. Around midnight, bang! The sound of the portrait falling made the whole house shake. Howe woke up with a start. He mumbled, "What the hell?" He turned on the light and walked out to the living room. The portrait of his father, Mr. Din, lay face down on the ground. Even stranger, the glass frame was not broken, but the picture inside was blistered as if it had been burned. Howe shivered a little, but still showed his annoyance. It must be the wind. These things are old. He put the picture back together, wiped it roughly, and went back to sleep, not knowing that Mr. Din had just tried to warn him. At the same time, Mrs. Lan, who was in a coma, suddenly saw a familiar image. In her dream, a tall man in a brown shirt with a gentle face approached. His voice was low but sad. "Mrs. Lan, why are you suffering so much?" She choked up. "You, Mr. Din, are you really coming back?" He held her hand, strangely warm. "I came back because you are in pain. But I also came back because... How? He is so lost." She burst into tears. "He is young, he is foolish. Please do not blame him." The husband shook his head, his eyes distant. "He is the one who suffers the consequences of his actions. You love him, but he does not love you. Then heaven and earth will teach him for you." Those words made her shiver. At the same time, Mrs. Lan, who was in a coma, suddenly saw a familiar image. In her dream, a tall man wearing a brown shirt with a gentle face approached. His voice was deep but sad. "Mrs. Lan, why are you suffering so much?" She choked up. Mr. Din, are you really back?" He took her hand, strangely warm. "I came back because you're sick. But I also came back because of How. He's lost his way." She burst into tears. "He's young, he's foolish. Please don't blame him." The husband shook his head, his eyes distant. "Whoever does it, he has to bear it. You love him, but if he doesn't love you, then heaven and earth will teach him for you." Those words made her shiver. Suddenly, the dream scene shifted to Howe's bedroom. Mr. Din stood in front of his son's bed. Howe was sleeping soundly, his headphones still plugged in. He looked at his son, his eyes both angry and sad. "Howe, why did you become like this? Your mother raised you with her blood and bones, and you are killing her every day." He reached out and gently touched his son's shoulder. Howe jumped up, panting. Cold sweat ran down his back. He looked around in confusion, but saw no one. There was only the sound of the wind howling through the crack in the door, cold enough to pierce the bones. That night, when Howe tried to fall asleep, he heard a vague voice from the living room. "Howe, don't be unfilial anymore." He opened his eyes, his face pale with fear. He ran to the living room, but there was no one. Only his father's portrait was shaking slightly, as if someone had just touched it. Howe trembled. "I must have heard wrong. I must have." But his intuition told him it wasn't an illusion. That was the first warning. The next morning, Howe was about to go to work when the motorbike wouldn't start. He pedaled for a long time but couldn't get it to start. When he checked, he found that the electric wire had been chewed by rats. even though he had locked the door the night before. He was angry and cursed loudly, but that was only the beginning. When he returned home, he saw his mother lying motionless on the ground. Her face was pale, her lips were purple. Hal panicked. "Mom, Mom!" He shook her, but her hand was cold. In that moment, he felt a little bit of real fear. Not because he was worried about his mother, but because he was afraid, if his mother died in this house, he would be guilty. But this was just the beginning. When Hal saw his mother lying motionless, he panicked and called the neighbors. Mrs. High and everyone ran over and together took Mrs. Lon to the medical station. The doctor looked at Hal, his voice serious. "Such a serious illness, but we left it for too long. The old lady is exhausted, her lungs are seriously infected. If we had brought her here any later, we wouldn't have been able to save her." Hal bowed his head, his face pale. For the first time in his life, he felt clearly. His mother was standing next to death. That night, Hal slept soundly on a chair in the hospital hallway. In his dream, he saw his father, Mr. Din, appear, but this time his face was no longer gentle. His eyes became serious, his voice like thunder. "Hal, do you know why your mother is lying there?" Hal trembled. "Dad, I was busy. I didn't mean to." He shouted, "You abandoned the woman who sacrificed her whole life for you. You took money more important than her. You spoke harshly to her every day. What you are facing is just a light retribution." Hal knelt down, crying like a child who lost control. "I was wrong. Please forgive me." Mr. Din shook his head. "It's not me who forgives you. It's heaven and earth who are looking at you." He pointed to the distance, where the white light was shining. "Tomorrow you will see the real retribution. So you can understand how sacred maternal love is." Hal screamed in panic. "Dad!" He jumped up in the middle of the hallway, his whole body cold. That morning, as soon as he turned on his phone, he was stunned. His bank account was empty. The reason? The company where he invested with his friend was seized by his friend, and then he ran away. Hal stood there dumbfounded. All his life, he saved and saved every penny, to the point of neglecting his old mother. Now he was penniless. The neighbor said, "That's the price of greed, Hal." He didn't dare answer. When she entered the hospital room, Mrs. Lan opened her eyes and saw him. Her eyes were weak but gentle. "Hal." "I'm fine, don't worry." Even though she was the one who almost lost her life. Hearing that, Hal burst into tears, hugging his mother's arms. "Mom, I'm sorry. I was so wrong. Mom, Her skinny hand reached up, stroking his hair like when he was a child. "You know you're wrong. Then I'm happy. Not a word of blame, not a harsh word. A mother's heart is wider than the ocean." Hal knelt at his mother's feet. "From today, I will change. I will take care of you, make it up to you, for the rest of my life." Mrs. Lan smiled, tears falling from her eyes because of happiness. In the corner of the room, a gentle wind shook the curtains. The portrait of her father on the small cabinet lit up dimly as if smiling. After recovering, Mrs. Lan was taken home by Hal. From then on, he worked hard but diligently, no longer greedy, no longer hot-tempered. Money lost can be made again. But mother, lost is lost forever. Hal understood the biggest lesson in life. There are many ungrateful people in the world, but only mother loves you with all her heart. Karma does not come to destroy people. Karma comes to awaken those who have forgotten filial piety. If you believe in karma, believe that good and evil are rewarded, subscribe to our channel to join us. Listen to more heart-touching stories.